Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the laundry room. This is May 6th, 2017, and yes, you are watching Pillar to Post, and I am your host, Pete Wall. Now, today we are going to do something a little bit different. I was asked if I followed CZW, that is Combat Zone Wrestling. I want to be honest, no, I have not been following it. But because I've been being asked about it, I am going to start watching. I'm going to start with adding CZW to the repertoire of information I bring you from the wrestling world. Now, today I'm going to talk about CZW's upcoming pay-per-view and let you know on what matches are going to be there, where it's going to be held, what time, and so on. But we're going to keep it WWE for the time being at the start of the show, and then we're going to move on into CZW. But I want to let those Combat Zone fans know that I will be starting to follow what's going on in the world of Combat Zone Wrestling. That way I can give you up-to-date news on what's going on. And I'm going to start that off with covering the Combat Zone pay-per-view coming up May 13th. But until then, we're going to start off with some WWE's news, and then we're going to move into the CZW news. Okay, so REBY Hardy tweets Impact Wrestling going after her. Since leaving Impact Wrestling, REBY Hardy has used Twitter a number of times to talk about her displeasure with her former employer. REBY's latest tweet from earlier today looks to infer that Impact Wrestling might be coming after her. The first tweet goes as follows. TNA, cut everyone's pay and lay off a bunch of people. She followed that up with, let's spend money to go after a woman who's 8 months pregnant and no longer works there. Article continues with, it should also be noted, late last night, a fan asked if they could still purchase the Fuck That Owl shirt, and REBY responded, no longer available, but after today, I might have to bring them back. So clearly, the very outspoken Mrs. Hardy is pissed. She's a very outspoken woman. She's a very attractive woman. And by the sounds of it, a very intelligent woman. And TNA seems like they can still play with her and get on her nerves a little bit. And she's just letting them know, hey, I might be pregnant, but I got a mouth of my own, and I'll fucking just do whatever I please. Cross me and I'll cross you. So I like her attitude. I do. I like that she's so well outspoken, as well as how she defends her husband and her brother-in-law. It makes for a lot of drama, but it shows that she's got a lot of heart and a lot of love for her family. Very protective. I wouldn't want to cross a woman like that for damn sure. Now, former WWE star on JBL's bullying allegations, how he described JBL, and WWE being like the military. And this is from Hannibal TV. Now, before I move on, I know this has been fucking talked about to death, and this isn't the only article I came across. And this was from today. So this whole JBL bullying allegation still way up on the top list, and it seems like whenever a former star is, or WWE star is interviewed, this is the first topic that comes up for that interview, and I don't understand it. Let it go. Let it die. But I'm going to talk about it because it's from a superstar we haven't heard of or about for a very long time. That former WWE Tag Team Champion would be Rene Dupree. And he recently did an interview with Hannibal TV to talk about JBL's recent bullying allegations. So let's get into it. I just grabbed the highlights. I'm sorry, but like I told you earlier today, there is not a whole lot of news out there in the wrestling world. So we're going to move into it. Now, he was asked how he described JBL. Rene Dupree responded by, go watch the movie Dazed and Confused. It has a character played by Ben Affleck, who has basically flunked himself out of high school for the sole purpose that he can come back and haze the young kids coming from junior high and hit them with the stick, or hit him with the stick. I don't know what that means, but that's the best description I can give of JBL. He was asked how he described the WWE, and Rene Dupree responded by, "If I were to describe the WWE, it's like a well-oiled machine, a billion-dollar company, very successful. It's almost like the military. You got your head captain, we all know who it is. Then we've got little sergeants who are put in place, who are aligned, He is French, so it's a little bit weird to read this. Okay, then we got little sergeants who are put in place, who are align the troops and soldiers. The longer you're there, the higher you get ranked. That's the best way I can describe WWE. If you don't fit their mold, or you're not a part of their game plan, or you don't react to their tests the right way, you're booted out. Maybe that's every corporate American company. I don't know." He was asked what it is exactly that JBL does. And he responds with, he never personally does anything, but he gets like people under him, like the military, a lower ranking person, to do his dirty work for him. And then Rene Dupree was asked what he thinks happened with Mauro Ranallo and JBL. Rene Dupree responds, again, like I described earlier, there are certain tests to test certain people. Maybe he doesn't fit the mold because he's not a wrestler. He never came from a wrestling background. The guy's very talented, so perhaps there is a lot of jealousy in this business. Again, he's been there a while and is higher ranking. He's one of the people that the higher ups feel has a good judge of character for the people that fit that company. And he was asked who is in JBL's clique backstage. This seemed to surprise Rene Dupree a little bit. He responded, "That's still there? They were all Southern boys. They all stick together. Even though I'm persona non grata, there's no way in hell that a person like me would go back knowing that he's there, because I'd probably break his fucking neck." Very strong words to end off that interview, or the question about JBL. Now, if you guys don't remember Rene Dupree, he was also part of, what was the tag team called? La Resistance. An all-French tag team, which was later then brought in Robert Conway, a defector, I should say, of the U.S., and a self-proclaimed French Canadian afterwards. But it's just more drama about the whole Mauro Ranallo thing. We all know Mauro Ranallo is not doing anything about it, because he did sign some documents stating that he would leave it the fuck alone, basically, and just let it die. But it doesn't seem to die when former WWE superstars are continuously being asked these questions about JBL. It's kind of frustrating when you want to get that good news for your viewers and you're getting shit like this. But it is news, so you report it. So up next, we have an NXT star pulled from Takeover Chicago, and you probably know very well who this might be. It is sounding more and more like Ember Moon's injury was a legit injury. She was spotted with a sling and to support her shoulder and arm. So the talk is right now that she is being pulled from Takeover Chicago. But then it also has not been announced by WWE either. But I will read the report, and I'll go from there, and I'll discuss it a little bit more. Now, according to Figure 4 Wrestling Online's daily update, Ember Moon is no longer being advertised for the upcoming NXT Women's Championship Fatal 4-Way match at NXT TakeOver Chicago. The match is now said to be Asuka versus Nikki Cross versus Ruby Riott. Now, at the last NXT tapings during the #1 contender battle royal match, Ember was sent out of the ring to the floor. Her arm was outstretched as she landed and hit the guardrail awkwardly. This caused a shoulder injury. Now, it has not been confirmed. Now, yes, people have been seeing her with a sling supporting her shoulder and arm, but it has not been clarified by WWE as of yet. Now, while WWE hasn't officially announced an injury or her exit from the match, she was seen last week in a sling. Like I said, it could be a work. You know, they could be taking her off the card to make it look like, you know, she is legit injured, and then her, like, all of a sudden pop up in the middle of the match. She could be the one to win the title after all. It could be a good angle. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I watched the match. It looked like a nasty bump she took. The way she hit that guardrail, the way she hit the floor. It is just hard to tell when it comes to the wrestling world, especially WWE. Look at what they did with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. You know, internal injuries, broken ribs, spewing out blood, torn rotator cuff on Braun Strowman. Like, and then they're hanging out and putting each other through tables in Rome. So it's hard to tell if this is a work or if it's legit injury. Now, like I said, it could be a good angle, have her pulled from the match card, and then, you know, a big surprise to get a really big pop for her mid-match. She returns and says, hey, I was in this fucking match. And she goes on to win the title. Now, it still could work that they don't pin Asuka, and she continues her undefeated streak. Or this could be, just like I said, a legit injury, and, you know, she loses out on a good pay-per-view. And if you have not watched NXT Takeovers, I would advise you to check out the last one and the ones before, and that will make you decide if you want to continue watching Takeover. And I guarantee you, I bought into it right away. I watched a Takeover from the past, and I got hooked. It hooked me, and then I watched my very first NXT Takeover pay-per-view this year, and I was just like, wow. I could not believe it. And yeah, it was this year, WrestleMania, yeah. So, you know, check it out. Check it out. Guarantee you're going to fall in love with the NXT product, because they're giving you a hell of a lot more, and they make hell of a lot more sense than what WWE's main brands are giving you for pay-per-views as well as regular day basis television shows. So, check it out, people. You're going to love it. Now, something I find awkward, but I'll get into, or weird, I'll talk about it after I read this article. And it's titled, A Perfect 10 People's Elbow. Ty Dillinger, despite being called up to the main roster to work SmackDown Live, is still doing some touring with NXT. At a show in Riverside, he performed what is now being dubbed the Perfect 10 People's Elbow. Now, I don't know what's going on. He gets promoted to the main roster, and instead of being out there in Europe with the rest of the main roster, he's touring it up with NXT, and he's at Riverside. So, one, to me, that makes no sense. You're on the main roster, you'd be expected to have that push, have that European tour experience, but he's left to do a Riverside show. Now, you know, NXT fans love Ty Dillinger, and him using The Rock's signature move, the People's Elbow, really got a huge pop. I watched the video. He got an amazing pop. And he did it. He did the whole, you know, remove the elbow pad and everything. He basically mimicked Rock to a T. And then before he goes to hit the People's Elbow, he did the 10 bit. So it was very interesting. I got to click something off my screen here and move on. Now, I've got fan reactions to this. The first fan posted, meh, 8.5. Next fan posted, He's the current People's Champion, so he can do that. And no, I don't read the fans' names out because I don't have permission for that, and I will not do that. The next one simply posted 10. The next one posted, feel bad for him. Call up to the main roster, yet while they get to go to Europe, he's stuck in Riverside. I thought the same thing. The next one said, get this Rudy Poo out of here. I'm probably in the minority, but I don't see anything special in Dillinger. Nothing he's done has really interested me, and I can't stand that god-awful 10 chant. Well, buddy, you're going to have to fucking put up with it because the fans are loving it, and they are pushing it, because when Ty Dillinger enters the arena, that's all you are going to hear. The perfect 10. Just my thoughts, buddy. Everyone's got their own opinion. Everyone's got their own beliefs, and everyone's got their own thought train. Now, I haven't seen a very big, remarkable match. Now, he did a great job on his last NXT in that cage match with Eric Young. I love that match. They utilized that cage the way they should have. There was blood. There was some high risks off the top of the cage from both men. Loved it. That impressed me. So I want to see him do more. I want to see what he can do inside that ring. And I have not, because frankly I didn't watch NXT too much before he got brought up. Moving on, Kurt Angle says he wanted the milk truck for his WWE Hall of Fame induction. Now, Kurt Angle headlined the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame class, and he gave one hell of a speech to cap a long but entertaining evening. That included capping it off with a milk bath. But he wanted to do even more. As he told WrestleZone Radio, he wanted the milk truck. And Kurt Angle said, they didn't let me do everything I wanted to do. I wanted to drive the milk truck into the arena. The higher-up said, that's a little too much. Yes, that's too much, but it's pro wrestling. Everything is too much. How epic would it have been if he came rolling out in the milk truck and hosed down all those Hall of Famers wearing suits sitting in the crowd? That's how you sell network subscriptions, and I agree. If that milk truck would have come out, they would have got a big pop in the ratings. Having that there as, a reminder to his little take on Stone Cold's beer bath to Vincent Kennedy McMahon and, his goons, that would have really put the Hall of Fame show over this year. It truly would have. Now, the next article, I'm not very clear on this wrestler, but she is slated to be coming to WWE, so I figured it was important because fans probably know her. Just because I don't doesn't mean you don't. Now, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, so I'm going to try my best. Kairi, Kairi, Hojo, announces departure from Stardom. Now, ever since rumors started swirling that wrestling's favorite pirate might be headed stateside, folks have been waiting for a sign. And this morning at the Stardom show at Shinkiba First Ring in Tokyo, we got a full-on announcement of her departure from Stardom. This is what it said. Kairi made her announcement to the fans that she is leaving Stardom. Now, Dave Meltzer added in his update on the free portion of Wrestling Observer's site that she had signed with WWE in March, but kept it quiet in the meantime. Kairi has some business to attend to yet, however, as she still holds the Wonder of Stardom Championship, for which she has her next title defense scheduled against Mayu Iwatani. Wow, some of these names are hard to pronounce. Who challenged her after coming up short in their annual Cinderella tournament, as well as having just won the Artist of Stardom Championship alongside Konami and Hiromi Mimura immediately before making her announcement. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole if it sounds fucked up coming out of my mouth, but trying to put the right the right sound to these Japanese and Chinese and, names. It's very, very hard to do. It is. You try your best, but I'm going to move on because I sound like an ass trying to fucking pronounce that. Now, what makes things interesting is that previous artists of Stardom championships or champions were AZM, HZK, and Io Shirai, who has been rumored to be WWE bound as well. Shirai also still has a singles title to drop, the World of Stardom Championship, and hey, she also has a challenger breathing down her neck, as Toni Storm, upon winning the Cinderella tournament, used her win to set the match. Toni Storm, a Women's Stardom owner, Razi Ogawa, has previously suggested could fill a similar role in Stardom as AJ Styles did in New Japan. These women could be very well in this whole WWE Women's Tournament they're having this summer. It's very likely that could happen. I would like to see it because there's supposed to be like women from 17 different countries come in and being brought in for this. So I'm very interested to see how it's going to play out. And most likely, more than likely, they're going to start up most of them in NXT, and maybe a couple in the main rosters to fill some of that vacuum that we have in the women's division. Now, the only thing I kind of wish for is a huge tag team tournament where we could actually bring some good tag teams into WWE and fill that vacuum that's in the tag team division, because believe me, they need to work on their tag teams. They like to throw a lot of guys together that really haven't wrestled as a team together, and I'm tired of it. I am. I want to see wrestlers that came up together, like back in the day. That's the way they trained. If they were going to be a tag team, if they were built as a tag team, they were placed together and worked the independents together for a while, or back then the territories, making themselves a more cohesive unit. And then when they got to the bigger platforms, they were a well-oiled machine and they looked great together. So that's what I want to see in a tournament. Guys that have worked together for years as an actual tag team and then come up and do this tournament and, fill that vacuum that is the tag team division. But that's me hoping for a tag team tournament. Let me know your thoughts. What would you like to see in a tournament? Would you like to see a tag team tournament and have actual tag teams instead of guys like Cesaro and Sheamus, who could have very good singles careers but just thrust together because they don't know what to do with them? Or Golden Truth, there's another good one. These guys do not really mesh well together in the ring, but they were thrown together because they have no idea what to do and they're hardly used. And then you got tag teams like the Revival. The Revival looks like a well-oiled machine, and they look like a throwback tag team. I love them. But that was the last article for WWE and WWE related news and rumors. Let's move into CZW news. That is Combat Zone Wrestling. And we're going to start this off with a Q&A with Jimmy Lloyd. Now, I thought this was a good way to start the whole CZW news bit here on the channel because, frankly, I need to get a little bit acquainted with some of these wrestlers. I don't know who they are. I don't know anything about them. So, what better way as to, bring an interview from one of their stars and get to know them together. Now, some of you that watch CZW will know them. I will be taking in their very, this, I guess it's a pay-per-view or whatever that's coming up. It's called Sacrifices, May 13th. That's where I will be getting acquainted with CZW. But let's move in with this Q&A with Jimmy Lloyd. Dan Cowie, April 26, 2017. No comments. Kyle Cutts. Okay, this is from April 26th. But they didn't have a hell of a lot of news, and this was directly on their website, so it's a little bit old, but if you haven't, read it, follow. Jimmy Lloyd, let's see, Kyle Cutts caught up with Dojo Wars fan favorite Jimmy Lloyd for an exclusive interview. Cutts, where and when did your professional wrestling journey begin? Lloyd answered, I started at a company in Williamstown, New Jersey called Old Time Wrestling, or also known as OTW. That's where I started training in September of 2012. I had my first match on May 17th, 2014 on an OTW show. Cutts, who, as an in-ring competitor, was Jimmy Lloyd before regularly attending the CZW dojo? Lloyd answered, Jimmy Lloyd, before CZW, was just a hungry kid, trying to do whatever he could to get his name out, willing to take risks, very eager to learn. I got into the CZW dojo because I was at a show in New York, got introduced to DJ Hyde. We talked for a few minutes, and he realized that I was eager to learn. He knew who I was from attending CZW for so many years, and he decided to give me an opportunity to come train at the CZW dojo. That right there was the best thing to ever happen to me. Cutts followed up the questions with, how did you manage to become accepted by the Combat Zone faithful so quickly? Lloyd's reply was, the reason I believe is because I'm one of them. They knew me as a kid in the crowd for so many years. Then I started wrestling. They knew of my love for CZW, that I bleed black and yellow. They know I'm willing to give everything for them. Now Cutts went on to ask, were death matches an inspiration from the get-go? And Lloyd responded by saying, yes, death matches were always something I wanted to do. Bloodshed was the reason I love CZW so much, because it made it feel so real. CZW was the first professional wrestling promotion that I ever saw. Guys like Nick Mondo, Nick Cage, Lobo, Zandig, Matt Tremont, Danny Havoc, and Thumbtack Jack really inspired me to become a wrestler. Don't get me wrong, I love the sport of professional wrestling as a whole, but something about deathmatch wrestling inspires me. Love good old deathmatch, man. I haven't seen one in years. I should start watching this shit. Cutts, what's the next on the checklist? And Lloyd responded by saying, there's a lot of things that I would like or love to do, like be in Tournament of Death, Best of the Best, go overseas, but I'm really just continuing to learn, doing the best I can every time I get an opportunity. I don't want to become labeled as a deathmatch guy. I want to be known as a guy who's well-rounded, a guy who can square up with anyone and put on great matches. But when it's time to bleed and get crazy, I'm down to do whatever. I just want to continue to get better and just do everything that I can to make Jimmy Lloyd a name that you see everywhere. And that is the main goal when you become a wrestler. You want everyone to know who the fuck you are. And when you step out, and it doesn't matter if it's this little bitty school gymnasium or WWE's big main stage, people know you, and you get that rush from the cheers or the boos, whatever your gimmick is, a heel or babyface. You get that reaction. It is a huge boost. Being at a live show as a non-wrestler, it is fucking just phenomenal. The energy you feel going through your body because you've got, 10,000 people surrounding you and just screaming at the top of their lungs. It is something I can only imagine how it would have felt if I could have started wrestling. And, even in these little itty bitty gymnasiums or, small bar rooms or, the Hammerstein Ballroom, it is a feeling that is, it's unexplainable if you haven't been a wrestler. And this guy, he started 2012, I think I read, so he hasn't been in it all that long. And, he's already wanting that. He wants that big reaction. He wants people to know who he is. And I like that. I love the interview. It was a good one. I got to know him a little bit. And I'll see what he's like in the ring when I start watching CZW wrestling. More news. Notorious Inc., that is Danny Havoc and Connor Claxton, will be at Sacrifices. The issues between Notorious Inc., Danny Havoc, and Connor Claxton have been well documented over the last several months. Most recently at Decisions, Drew Blood was victorious in his match against Danny Havoc, thanks to help from Devin Moore. As of press time, these four men have confirmed they will be at Sacrifices next week in Voorhees, New Jersey. After what we have seen since late 2016, what will happen when they are once again under the same roof? Like I said, I'm not familiar with these guys. Now, I am going to list off the matches that are going to be happening at Sacrifices. There are some names very familiar to me, and there are some I've never heard before. So it's like, I got to get into this shit and start watching. So if you have a way where I can catch up and learn a little bit more about CZW, please help a guy out. Drop a link into the comments below so I can check out a little bit of CZW, because I am actually interested now. Now, last month, MJF to challenge Yuma for the CZW Wired Championship. So last month, Yuma defeated Joey Janela to become the CZW Wired Champion in his home promotion of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. Since that time, Yuma has yet to return to Combat Zone to defend the championship. Now, earlier this month at Decisions, MJF made his intentions clear when he demanded a Wired Championship match. Now, tonight, CZWrestling.com has learned that the brash entrepreneur will get his shot at Yuma on Saturday, May 13th at Sacrifices. Will MJF be the unlikely hero and bring the gold back home to Philadelphia, or will Yuma continue to hold the championship hostage out west? Who's to say? Excuse me very much. I don't have a drink out here. So, like I said, I don't know these guys yet. I'm going to try and get familiar with them. I'm going to scour the web looking for ways to watch some CZW and get acquainted with some of these wrestlers, because, hell, I should have already by now. Call myself a wrestling fan. I don't watch CZW. Jesus Christ. Now we're going to go over the pay-per-view that they're going to be having. I think it's pay-per-view or just event. I'm going to call it an event, and it's called Sacrifices. CZW Sacrifices. And here are the details. May 13th at 7:30 p.m., $20 to $40 at the door, I guess. And the venue is at Flyers Skate Zone, 601 Laurel Oak Drive, Voorhees, New Jersey, 08043, United States. And the phone number to basically, I guess, get tickets or whatever, 856-309-4400. Their website is http Voorhees.flyerskatezone.com. So check that out, and let's see about the venue that they will be having. Now, you're going to recognize the first name very quickly. Leo Rush will be challenging under CZW rules match for the CZW World Champion, and he will face the champion, Joe Gacy. So Leo Rush versus Joe Gacy at Sacrifices, and he will be facing Joe Gacy. Next on the list is MJF will face Yuma for the Wired Championship title. I'm looking at the titles, and they don't look too bad. Don't mind the heavyweight or the world title. The Wired one looks a little bit odd from the angle I can see it at. But moving on, we got Joey Janela versus Father Matthew Tremont in a steel cage match. Tremont looks like a big fucking dude. I think Joey Janela is going to get, experience a little bit of pain. Now, these guys look like four fucking freaks. This is a tag team match. It is Storm of Entrails. What a fucking name. Storm of Entrails versus The Awakening. Four bad-looking fucking dudes, man. Tattooed up. Fucking, just nasty looking. Love the look. Love the name. Storm of Entrails, man. You know, just Jesus. Okay, up next is Sam Callahan, Callahan versus Jake Christ. No stipulations as I can see. Moving on is Shane Strickland in a rematch against Dave Christ. And by the looks of it, best of the best rematch. That is what it's being dubbed as. Best of the best rematch. So it's Shane Strickland versus Dave Christ. And up next, well-known wrestler in the Indies, Zack Sabre Jr. will face David Starr. Now, if you haven't seen a Zack Sabre Jr. match, very exciting wrestler, wow, loves the high risks, that is for damn sure. So he'll be facing David Starr at Sacrifices. And last but not least, Notorious Inc., Danny Havoc and Connor Claxton, under the same roof. And there's 4 dudes here, so I don't know who's all going to be in it. It's just basically just them. So that is their pay-per-view. Like I said, doors will open at 7 p.m. with a bell time of 7:30. Tickets available online or at the door before the event. Anywhere from, $40 first row, $30 second row, and $20 GA plus fees. So that is your Wrestling Zone news or Combat Zone news for now. Like I said, I'm going to watch this event. Hopefully it is televised. I can see it. And I will be making sure I report on it. So that is Pillar to Post for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do me a favor. If you have not subscribed yet, please subscribe and hit that like button and help this channel continue to grow. And if you have recommendations, an organization, a wrestling organization you'd like me to cover, please comment below. Let me know who and where and what you'd like to see on the show, and I will bring it to you. I will start watching it because, frankly, I want to help this channel grow. And what better way to do that than bring you the news that you want to hear. So this is Pete Wall and Pillar to Post signing off for the night. I will catch you tomorrow, and you guys all have a good night. Thank you very much for watching.